Can I skip my best friend's wedding if they don't serve alcohol? Story. My buddy, 33M, is getting married to a girl that our friend group is not in love with. He loves her though, so we support him. We have known for months this was a New Year's Eve wedding. I RSVP'd yes months ago with my wife. Several friends and I operated under the assumption that there would be booze at the wedding, especially considering it was on New Year's Eve. Well, I found out yesterday that it is a dry wedding. Turns out it is because of his fiancée and her family. I asked my wife if she knew this and said no and was pissed. I texted the groom's buddy and asked. He confirmed this. I told him this is something you should have told us a long time ago. I told him that my wife and I wouldn't be going. We want to spend the night drinking. I texted the rest of my friends about this and oh boy, the group chat went off. This led to several more people backing out. This is not how a bunch of us expected to spend New Year's Eve. Really, the only ones that didn't back out are the 4 members of our 12-person group that are in the wedding. Groom buddy reached out to me and went off. Pretty much he is now overspending on catering. He is having 20-ish fewer guests show up than planned, and this is all last minute. I've been called an a-hole, among other things, for leading the charge in people not going to the wedding. Can I skip the wedding without being an a-hole? Response 1. I love drinking and hate a dry wedding as much as the next guy, but you can show up to the wedding ceremony, spend an hour or 2 at the reception, and then go get blackout drunk if that is an absolute must for you. Backing out at the last minute and letting your friend know he's not worth 2 hours of sobriety means you're the a-hole by miles and miles. Reply 1. If drinking means more to you than a friendship, you might need to evaluate a few things. Reply 2. Clearly, OP and these other so-called friends of the groom care more about getting drunk than they care about the groom. It's just too much of a sacrifice for them to be sober for a few hours on one of the dozens of New Year's Eve they'll enjoy in their lives to be with a friend on his wedding day. The groom needs to get better friends than this bunch of a-holes. Reply 3. I love drinking, but I'm shocked that people can't spend a few hours sober and value alcohol more than their friends. And what does not liking the bride have to do with it? I went to a New Year's Eve wedding a few years ago. Close friends. They asked everyone to stay sober until the reception, including arriving sober to the ceremony. We love our friends, so we were all fine with their request. OPU, like many in our alcohol-obsessed society, are an alcoholic. If you can't spend a few hours without alcohol and prioritize it ahead of your relationships, you have a problem. Reply 4. Massive. You're the a-hole. Imagine how it would feel to have 20 of your friends decide at the last minute not to attend one of the most important occasions of your life because they can't go a few hours without drinking. No way the friendship survives this. Reply 5. Absolutely. I attended a dry wedding. It was actually great. Yes, they were religious, but the real reason was the bride's father had a drinking problem, so he was uncomfortable having booze at the wedding. When I say this was an amazing wedding despite the lack of booze, everyone was dancing. Many of us hit the hotel bar later, and not a bitter word was spoken. Response 2. This is one of those everyone sucks here for sure. Bride and groom suck for not making it clear that they are having a dry wedding on NYE. You suck for backing out of the wedding you RSVP'd to without offering to cover your plate cost. Let them know that you would like to attend the wedding to show support, that you will pay for the cost of the meal you no longer will enjoy because you and your wife will be attending an event that isn't dry. Many years ago, I went to a dry wedding. The 6 of us at our table all planned in advance and had drinks ourselves in flasks, and we went outside to enjoy some liquid courage to get out on the dance floor and make it through speeches. You had things you could have done, especially with a group of 8 friends who all wanted alcohol as well. Reply 1. Dude, I cannot even put into words how not okay it is to sneak booze into a dry wedding. If you can't get through an event without liquid courage, you need alcohol counseling or medication for an anxiety disorder. Violating a host's boundaries by sneaking booze in at an event the hosts specified was dry is not just rude, it's dangerous. The one exception to this would be if you clarified beforehand that being intoxicated would not put others at risk as long as you did not drink at the event or serve alcohol to others while there. My husband can't drink because it places his life and the lives of others at risk if he does. We keep an alcohol-free house and have found it helpful to specify on invites whether the events will be no booze served optional or whether people need to abstain to attend. However, if an invite said no booze served, please don't drink while in attendance, and I found a guest drinking from a flask in my garage, I would have no issue showing that person the door and asking them to only come back when our safety was more important than their entitled need to get buzzed. Reply 2. One piece of info I'd like to know about the wedding is the timing of it. My wife just reminded me when I was talking about this that the dry reception we attended was from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. before the majority of the guests left. It was a pretty tiny affair after 9 p.m. Reply 3. Wedding is at 5:30 p.m. Reception till 12:15 a.m. Reply 4. I think this cements it as everyone sucks here. Yes, the bride and groom should have been clear from the beginning, but there's no reason why you and your friends can't go to the wedding and reception and then reasonably leave before 9 and go party the rest of the night somewhere else. Even if the reception venue is a solid 2 hours from a good bar, there would still be plenty of time to find a place and party the rest of the way to the new year and into the morning. Y'all suck for picking booze over your friend. You aren't a good friend. Reply 5. There is no need to be clear about the beverages served at a wedding. Would the average person be annoyed at RSVPing to an NYE party they later realized was dry? Of course. Is this a rare, likely once-in-a-lifetime circumstance? Yay. So buck up and make the most of it, and don't make your hosts feel horrible for their obviously fraught and/or religious relationship to alcohol. Be a good guest and a good friend. Apologize, ask to still come, and say you thought it over and the groom was right to be mad. 20 years from now, you won't remember the NYE you enjoyed instead of a dry wedding. You will remember this atrocious breach of manners, and you can make up for it right now by going and having a great NYE with your friends. Reply 6. Would the average person be annoyed if they were not informed? If the answer is yes, then there absolutely should be communication about that. This goes for anything. If you know that most people expect A, but you're not doing A and/or surprising everyone with B, then you are kind of an a-hole. It's not even about the no alcohol allowed part. There is a need for clarity about food and beverages when inviting everyone to a celebration. Reply 7. Thank you. This is one of the most socially inept Reddit threads I've read in years. It's almost like reading about how it's actually okay to do some obviously out-of-touch thing, like wearing a hoodie to a funeral, inviting people to a dry wedding on New Year's Eve, and then waiting until the last minute to tell them it's dry is the oddball move here. Response 3. You're the a-hole. Even though I totally agree with you that he should have informed you in advance about the dry wedding, it's not right to cancel last minute for this reason. You can attend the ceremony and the reception for a couple of hours and then go elsewhere to drink. Weddings aren't meant for drinking all night. As you mentioned, they're for celebrating and supporting the couple. I think this is more about not liking the bride, and this was the perfect excuse not to attend. Reply 1. I'm wondering what time the wedding is, because usually venues have the ceremony around 5, and the reception starts at 6:30, with dinner served around 7:30, and they don't go past 10 p.m. Leaving around 9 p.m. leaves lots of time to drink and party and ring in the new year, blackout drunk. Reply 2. Weddings not for drinking? May I ask where you are from and if you've ever attended a Scottish wedding? They are all-day drinking events. Mine, even though it was in Cyprus, was 30 hours of drinking for me, with a short 4-hour sleep in there. The best man was on it for at least 4 hours extra. Breakfast was at the pool bar, pints and bacon rolls to fight off the hangover from the stag the previous night. Epic day. Response 4. You're the a-hole. It's one night, you've already RSVP'd, and you're backing out the week off. Hey, I was only willing to support and celebrate you and your marriage when I thought you were funding my NYE debauchery. Now that I know you're not, I'm out. Have a nice wedding in life, I guess. You to your friend, apparently. They should have been clear about the fact it's a dry wedding, but that transgression is so minor compared to yours that you still get the a-hole ruling all to yourself. At least the groom now knows you're not a real friend. Reply 1. This is the best take I've read so far. The number of people who can't survive a night with no alcohol is truly disgusting. The couple should have told people it was a dry wedding, but that's not enough of a reason to not go with this late notice. It's enough to say, hey buddy, not cool. And that's it. It's literally just some drinks. If OP is feeling so petty about it, take $30 out of your wedding gift. Oh wait, you were going to get plastered and drink hundreds worth, right? Right. So tell me again, how are you going to this wedding to have anything to do with your friend? Feels like you were just in it for the drinks and Instagram photos. Reply 2. Agree, you're the a-hole. Honestly, flabbergasted at so many people saying the OP isn't the a-hole, I can understand that everyone sucks votes, even though I don't agree. But the idea that alcohol availability is supposed to be on the invite, and everyone says that receptions are supposed to be for the guests when the post clearly says that it's dry because of the fiancé's family. So, they're catering to some of the guests. It's impossible to cater to them all. Reply 3. I don't even see it as a transgression, not mentioning that it's a dry wedding. If I were to be invited, I would shrug when being told there, and then carry on celebrating the wedded couple. I'm 37. I stopped caring about drinking alcohol 15 years ago. Back then, I would have been slightly pissed if someone celebrated their 18th birthday without booze. I'm from Germany. 18 is our legal drinking age for liquor, and at 16, you can drink beer. But that stopped when I was in my early 20s. I can't imagine having a friend throwing a fit because there is no booze. Response 5. Some info needed. Just to be clear, the invitation did not indicate it was a dry wedding. Reply 1. No, this was never mentioned to any of us in the friend group. Not in person, not on the invitation. It was assumed that there would be booze as our buddy drinks. I found out via a mutual friend that was also invited. Nothing is directly told to us by the bride or groom. Reply 2. Are you really telling me that you and your friends can't go without booze for one night? Or is the fact you don't like her more relevant than you're letting on? You don't support him, BTW. Not if you're not willing to go, part of, one night without a drink. Reply 3. Did you RSVP yes and then cancel? Because that's the problem. They are paying based on the number of people attending. To back out at the last minute is rude and will cost them money. I would also guess it may cost you a friendship. I guess you have to ask yourself if it's more important to maintain this friendship or to go drinking for New Year's Eve. Response 6. Everyone sucks here. I can't believe any of you are in your 30s. All of you are acting like a bunch of children, including your friend, who not only demanding that everyone make their New Year's Eve, a night of tradition for many people, all about them, but seemingly intentionally taking alcohol out of one of the most alcohol-related days of the year for himself and all of his friends. Beyond that, though, I've never seen such a clear picture from such a small post of how the entire group is just a bunch of a-holes. You don't support each other in any sense of the word. You just go through the motions and trash talk each other behind each other's backs. At least your friend has the courage to confront you personally for costing him thousands of dollars by ruining his wedding mere days before it happens. Reply 1. Right, I just turned 34, and I'm like, can we find a quiet bar that has a fireplace and a person playing an instrument with warm sangria? No judgment for wanting to party and drink, but you can't not drink for one New Year. I dunno. You do you OP, but if you can't go to a dry party, what else will you refuse to do sober? Bowling, tennis, a walk in the park, dinner, going to the movies, Cards Against Humanity. Does alcohol really control your fun? Maybe something to think about. New Year's is overrated anyway. Reply 2, everyone sucks here is pretty spot on, but I would put more of the blame on OP and friends. I would never plan a wedding on any holiday, but they agreed to it anyway. Backing out because there is no alcohol sounds pretty ridiculous to me, and I like drinking just as much as the next person. You don't really have a right to call yourself a friend. Response 7, you're the a-hole. What kind of friend can't stay sober for a few hours for a friend on his wedding day? Perhaps the couple is trying to protect and preserve their special day from family members' friends who are out-of-control drunks or recovering alcoholics. Oh, the horror. Sure, it would suck not having alcohol on an NYE wedding, but suck it up, Buttercup. It's not about you. Pre-game or cut your time at the reception if you're too out of control to stay sober for a couple of hours. Pathetic. Reply 1, thank you. I'm surprised by all the NTA and ESH votes. If one night without alcohol will kill you, you have problems. And if OP knew that the bride was conservative Christian, it probably would have been a safe assumption that it was a dry wedding. As for having a wedding on a holiday, I got married on Valentine's Day. The wedding was at 5:30 to 6, and people were gone by 9. It's not that big of a deal to at least eat, stay a while, then go for a drink. OP absolutely should offer to cover the cost of his wasted plate and probably kiss his friendship goodbye. Reply 2. To be honest, I'm engaged to a British man, and some of his family and friends drink a lot to the point of being embarrassing, so we're seriously considering either making it a dry event or having limited alcohol. Nothing worse than the father of the groom vomiting at a wedding. Reply 3. I've been with my partner for 16 years. There are a few reasons why we haven't gotten married, but a big one would be the alcohol. His side of the family are of two backgrounds that are notoriously alcoholics. The booze bill would be at least half the budget, never mind all the BS that comes with it. Cash bars are another way to curb drinking. Response 8. Marrying a woman our friend group is not in love with. I told him that wife and I wouldn't be going. We want to spend the night drinking. You're the a-hole. Just say my wife and I won't be going. We can't and won't stay sober for a few hours for you, or delay our NY toast for a day, because you're just not important enough to us, and your wife definitely isn't. We don't like her, let alone love her. We would rather booze it up to toast the new year, and not show support for your future happiness. I think your acquaintance, he's not your friend, obviously. You destroyed attendance at his wedding, and his wife shouldn't have booked a holiday event on a night people generally toast the NY and then not reveal it's dry. It's the equivalent of inviting friends to a destination wedding that they can't afford to attend. It's a bad move unless they made it early in the day, which still affords you time to wave them off and then go to your party, say after 9 p.m. Reply 1. I mean, honestly, and I'm speaking as someone who's experienced alcohol addiction here, but also has close friends and family who drink normally, this all comes down to one simple question. Would you rather be there for your friend for his wedding, or would you rather drink? If you'd rather drink than go to a friend's wedding, I'm sorry, but either that's not a friend or you're an alcoholic, or both. You're the a-hole. Response 9. You aren't at the wedding party. It was not clear on the wedding invite it was going to be a dry wedding on NYE. You don't care for the bride. You bailed 4 days before the wedding and got a bunch of others to bail too. You're not much of a friend, BC, unless there was a medical emergency. You should have put in an appearance. It's not like you couldn't have gone out afterward or brought a flask. Hope the lost friendship was worth it. Reply 1. The friendship likely is ruined, but I think he said in another comment, it was not made clear at all to him or anyone in their group. It wasn't until a mutual friend mentioned it that he found out. I think they should have all told their friend they'd be there to support the ceremony and wish them well. But as it wasn't made clear, it was a dry wedding, and it is NYE, which is an awful choice for a dry wedding when you know half the attendees drink, assuming groom's side drinks like his friends do. Reply 2. None of them were people informed before saying yes, because the bride and groom hid the fact it was booze-free. It changes everything for a guest's planning. How to get there, driving versus Uber, if they want to stay in a hotel or for how long, if they need babysitting, etc. Reply 3. It's one freaking night. I like to have a drink. Tequila is one of my favorite things in the world. Enjoying a glass of Don Julio 42 right now that I bought myself for Christmas. And no, I have never been to a dry wedding, but so freaking what? If I found out my friend's wedding wasn't serving alcohol, I'd go, celebrate with friends, and wish them well. That's it, no other drama. All these commentators sound like a bunch of alcoholics who can't have fun without alcohol. But it's NYE, save the tears. So lame. Reply 4. This is it right now. Frankly, I'm absolutely shocked that drinking for one evening, NYE or not, is actually more important than being there for one of your friend's biggest events in his life. I would never, ever give up a relationship with a friend or family member just because I can't keep myself from getting wrecked for one night. Reply 5. The groom just found out who his real friends were. Too bad it cost him money, but he learned. Response 10. You're the a-hole. Wow, you don't give a damn about your friend. It's one night, and who cares that it's NYE? What a little party wanker alcoholic you sound like. Then getting other folks worked up about their boohoo. Can't drink for about 4 to 6 hours on one day night. You could have an after party. You could attend the wedding and reception, then bounce to whatever plans you have for closer to midnight. I'm sure they aren't making you starve till midnight. You're such an a-hole. Your priorities are sad as hell. Response 11. You're the a-hole. You RSVP'd yes, and are now backing out less than a week before the wedding. That's rude, unless it's an emergency. Wanting to get drunk is not an emergency. What is preventing you from attending the wedding and then going somewhere after to celebrate New Year? Are they actually getting married at midnight? While I'm tempted to say ESH, because I don't like people using a holiday for their wedding, and they should have told you from the start it would be dry, you all are putting the need to drink alcohol for one night over your friendship with this guy, and that is pretty crappy. Reply 1. Everyone does suck here. I actually think the couple sucks more than OP for hiding a key deviation from social expectations after choosing a major holiday for a wedding date, so disrespectful to guests. You clearly think OP sucks more for actually bailing on the wedding because of that. Both are valid, but regardless of who's right, it's definitely clear that everyone sucks here. Reply 2. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the family didn't plan it on purpose, specifically to prevent people drinking who would otherwise definitely drink. That is literally the one holiday associated with alcohol. I know a lot of people who never or hardly drink, but will have a glass of champagne on NYE. Response 12. I mean, the friend is kind of an a-hole for the NYE wedding. That's the first problem. But also, you're the a-hole for skipping it because of the no booze at such a late notice. Weddings are expensive these days. You could also pocket a flask and bounce once the dancing begins, you know. Everyone sucks here. Not staying on to invite its NA for an obvious drinking holiday wedding is a trash move. They knew what they were doing, trying to pull a fast one. Everyone sucks here. Reply 1. New Year's Eve weddings are great. All your friends in one place with music and people you love, an organized party so you don't have to plan anything, free food, getting dressed up. It's actually the best idea. But hey, I love weddings and I love joy, so. Reply 2. Well, everyone is different. Not everyone enjoys that. My NYE tradition has almost always been to hang out with my boyfriend at home, sometimes a couple of friends as well, have some drinks and junk food, watch the ball drop on TV at midnight, and then walk to a park down the road where we can see the fireworks. Any sort of party sounds like a nightmare to me. I go to weddings to make other people happy. Most people I know have some sort of NYE tradition, and most people also know that. A wedding or party of any sort is not everyone's cup of tea for a fun holiday night. Reply 3. Yeah, I'm with you. Let's be real. Weddings are for the couple, and the guests are attending to support them. Nobody goes to weddings because they just love sitting through speeches, a bland 3-course meal, and uncomfortable adults at a school disco-style dancing. If you have a wedding on a major holiday day, you have to expect people not to attend, especially on NYE, when taxis and public transport will be atrociously expensive, and people are likely to have other plans well in advance. RSVPing, yes, at first, and then canceling last minute is still an a-hole move in any circumstances, though. Response 13. I'm confused. You could easily leave the wedding by 8 p.m., 9 at the latest, and go to a bar. You can also sneak alcohol in purses and pour it into your glasses when no one is looking. Your friend sucks for doing the wedding on a holiday and hiding that it's dry, but that in itself isn't a reason to bail at the last minute when there are simple workarounds. Reply 1. As the manager of an event venue that does weddings, please don't tell people to try and sneak liquor into weddings. There are a lot of negative ramifications for the bride and groom if their guests get caught doing this. Most venues will report this to the appropriate authorities because they don't want to risk the possible suspension of their liquor license just so you can have a boozy night. Response 14. You're the a-hole. It is one night of your life, and you're backing out because you, a man in your 30s, can't get drunk. Meanwhile, the couple have already spent the money, so I would hope that you will give him the equivalent amount in a gift, but I suspect not. Your friends are also a-holes, but you did lead the charge. Your immaturity is absolutely screaming. I would have expected this of someone a decade younger. The groom didn't owe you any explanations about how he was conducting his wedding. That being said, you probably should have titled this ex-friend, because IMO, there's no coming back from this. You and your other friends have just given the bride and groom the biggest few possible. Reply 1. The groom didn't owe you any explanations about how he is conducting his wedding. That's BS, as well as poor etiquette. Most reasonable people have an expectation of alcohol at weddings, never mind a wedding on NYE that lasts past midnight. If you throw a Thanksgiving dinner and didn't tell the guests beforehand that it was vegan, that's deceitful. If you aren't meeting that expectation, you need to tell people so they can make an informed decision. People may have spent money for DD or hotel rooms expecting to drink. Having said that, yeah, he's TA for not at least showing up for his friend for a few hours. There was a diplomatic way to handle this, and he went about it in the worst way. Reply 2. It's not a regular night, though. A lot of people like to celebrate the new year, and alcohol is common at celebrations. I bet some of the guests didn't accept another invitation to be at this wedding on New Year's Eve. For me personally, it's my favorite time of the year. New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. It's guaranteed I will be drinking something. I'm voting everyone sucks here, though, because OP didn't handle this well. It's rude to back off now, even if the wedding being dry was clearly hidden from everyone. OP could go, have a nice meal, chat for a few hours, and leave with plenty of time to celebrate at another place. Response 15. You are prioritizing a night out drinking over a supposed friend's wedding. Drinking shouldn't be the reason you go to a wedding. You're the a-hole, a massive a-hole. You can go one night without drinking. The other friends who backed out are massive a-holes also. I would drop you as a friend. I'm pretty sure the friendship is done. Expensive lesson for your friend, but I hope he learned from it. Reply 1. You're misframing the issue, and it's also crazy that you're accusing everyone who disagrees with you of being addicted. That's totally out of line. It's not about being able to go one night without drinking, but a specific night. Even someone who only drinks 2 nights a year expects to drink New Year's and Christmas. This guy getting married is squatting on that date and depriving all his guests of the holiday they would have had. Reply 2, not accusing anyone of being addicted. OP RSVP'd they would attend the wedding. Not going because you can't drink for free is an a-hole move. Influencing others to not go is an a-hole move. Usually, most catering halls or venues will have a cash bar option. There is also an option to bring a flask. There is also the option of leaving right after dinner is served, with no need to stay until 12:15 a. Multiple options. OP could have taken rather squatting on his friendship. I drink, but I know I can forgo it any night, regardless of which holiday it is, if it means going to my friend's wedding.